Hi, this is Craig, and welcome to another episode of Cruising Off Duty. In this episode, you're going to meet the other 5 crew members. I'm going to interview them as we're 1/3 of the way across the Atlantic Ocean on our Transatlantic Passage. I'm going to find out what their expectations were and whether they've been met. 6 days, I guess, is about 1/3 of the way through our Transatlantic trip.
Yes, all going well.
Yes, going very, very well. So if you could just introduce yourself for anybody who doesn't know who you are. I'm sure most people do.
Hello, I'm Cheryl Shard. I'm a Canadian sailing author and television producer. My husband Paul Shard and I produce the Distant Shores Sailing Adventure television series that's now in its 11th season, and it airs in 42 million households in 24 languages around the world. And as you can guess, we love the sailing lifestyle and just feel privileged to be able to share it with others, and great to have Craig sharing it too through his channel.
Yeah, great.
Janice.
Yeah. In your boat, everybody gets to know you by your channel, but your boat is also called Distant Shores.
That's
correct?
right.
Yeah.
That's right. We're just having our third southerly yacht built, the Southerly 480, and that's why we're sailing this catamaran right now. This boat is also built by Discovery Yachts, and the owner has asked us to sail it, and we thought it would be a great opportunity to film it. And as dyed-in-the-wool monohullers, we thought it would be a good experience for us to see what it was like to do an ocean passage on a cat. We have chartered catamarans. We chartered a Voyage 50 for a month in the British Virgin Islands, and also a Lagoon 380 we sailed for a week. But this is a really special experience, and it's beautiful boats. So.
Right, great. So I have some questions that I'm going to ask everybody on the boat, so I'll go through them all. Some of them we may have touched on already. Sailing experience, you have a lot of sailing experience, probably more than we can go into. You've done how many transatlantic crossings? Let's go with that.
This is our 8th transatlantic crossing. Paul and I have sailed over 100,000 nautical miles in the 28 years that we've been cruising and living aboard. Distant Shores 3 will be our 4th boat. Our first boat, Two Step, was a classic 37, and we built that ourselves from a bare hull and deck. So we have boat building experience as well as cruising experience, and we've sailed extensively in the Caribbean, Mediterranean, around to the Atlantic Islands many times, and are heading for the South Pacific is our next destination with a new boat.
As you might know.
Yeah, 2,700 is from Las Palmas direct to St. Lucia, but with this calm weather, we're having to dip south a little bit of the Cape Verde Islands, so that will add some miles. So that'd be fair to say 3,000 nautical miles.
Right.
But our longest passage it was our 2nd transatlantic crossing aboard Two Step, and our classic 37, and we did 20 days from Las Palmas, Gran Canaria, across the equator to Fernando de Noronha in Brazil. And then from there we cruised along the north coast of South America back to the Caribbean. So that was our longest trip.
That's
and
awesome.
We're all going well. We hope this will be 14, 15, maybe 16 days because of the light winds.
Right. This will be the longest time you've done a catamaran.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Yeah. We've just, done coastal cruising with catamarans. So to do a passage is a really great experience. And so far we're all enjoying it, I think.
Very comfortable.
Yes.
Very comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you hope your experience for this transatlantic crossing would give you, as opposed to some of your other ones?
Yeah, well, more knowledge of catamaran cruising, because the southerly yachts we sail are shallow draft. They're variable draft, actually. They go from quite shallow to quite deep because of the swing keel. And because of our shallow draft cruising ability, a lot of our followers like shallow draft boats, like catamarans. And so we try to educate ourselves as much as we can on cats and monohulls in general. And this is, a beautiful catamaran. And to do such a long passage, I think will give us a lot of experience to share with those that are following us and thinking of buying a boat or chartering a boat.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
What worries or concerns did you have prior to this crossing?
Well, I guess, anytime you're sailing a new boat, there's always concern about, managing it well. And when we have crew on board, you know, we all hope that everybody gets along, and that has been no problem. We've just had so many laughs and good times, and because everybody is a writer or a videographer, it's quite a creative think tank, don't you think? We're all having fun, just
everybody's having a great time
documenting the experience. And that was a concern. Sailing a new boat, a boat we don't know, is always a concern, because it takes a while to get to know a boat's personalities. And also, this is a new boat. It was just launched a month ago, 2 months ago, 2 months ago for the Southampton Boat Show in September. So to do a long trip on a brand new boat, there's always snags, but this boat seems to have very few, and we're all having a great time.
Everything's holding together great. So after 6 days, like I said, it's approximately 1/3 of the way. What are your overall thoughts? Was it what you expected?
Oh my gosh, better than I expected. I mean, I guess as a monohuller, I never really believed that you could leave things sitting out, and actually everyone on board has monohull experience except Dan, who is primarily a catamaran and power boater. And so the way the boat was set up, you know, there's bookshelves without real fiddles and lamps sitting out, and you know, it took us a little while to get used to that. But we got used to it pretty quickly, didn't we?
Yes, yeah.
And
you're surprised how stable it is.
Yes, yeah, and so I'm finding my energy is a lot higher than normal for a passage, because there's not the physical effort of, you know, pulling yourself through the boat to get things done and balancing yourself on an angle. So everybody is, you know, sleeping well, and we're all foodies, so we've been having fun cooking and having nice meals together.
Hardly roughing it.
Yeah. Yes, it's not. We're not roughing it on this boat at all.
Is there anything that you didn't expect that's happened on the boat, or anything about this type of catamaran travel that you didn't expect?
Well, I guess I expected it to be a lot noisier, because all the friends I know that cruise on long distance on catamarans say that you get a lot of noise with the waves slapping on the hull, especially across the bridge deck. But this boat is designed with like stringers and different shapes to reduce that. So there's very little of it. There was a little at the beginning, wasn't there, that we were like, oh, what's that noise? But I think it was just, you know, it's a new boat. Any noise we heard, we had to learn, is this a problem or is it fine? And we quickly, I think within the day.
Don't even notice it now. A little bit of noise there is, you don't even notice it.
Exactly. So most of the things that I expected were things I was worried about, and they haven't come to light, or we've dealt with them very easily.
Okay, last but not least, so far, with 1/3 of the trip done, what is your highlight so far of the trip? What one thing can you point to, or maybe two things you can point to that you...
Well, the weather has been great. I mean, we've had light winds, but that's been good for us all to get started into the passage and get familiar with the boat, because you know, we're not fighting strong conditions. But the highlights are always the wildlife, I think. Seeing dolphins, and some of the crew saw whales. Now we're into an area where we're seeing flying fish, and they sparkle in the sunshine. Last night Dan had squid looking at him from the sea when he flashed the flashlight in the water. So, and we're just all getting into the rhythm with the wind and nature. Things get more simple, and you know, just that everyone is having fun and enjoying the boat and sailing well has been a highlight for me.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot, Cheryl.
Thank you,
We'll go on to
Craig.
find out what everybody else has to say. They won't hear what you have to say, so their answers probably be totally different.
Oh well, we hope. That's good.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Okay, anybody who's been watching the channel, you've seen Dan before when we were in Spain together as roomies there, and now we're roomies here on this catamaran, this 50-foot catamaran. So I'm going to ask you, Dan, the same question that I just asked Cheryl.
Okay.
And we'll hear what your answers are. What sailing experience do you have? I know you've chartered some various boats and stuff like that.
Yeah, we probably have about 10 charters in all, half monohull, half catamaran. About 6 catamarans, 6 weeks of catamaran charting. About 3 of them in the Great Lakes and 3 in out of Fort Lauderdale.
Is this the biggest cat you've been on?
This is the same size of the catamaran I was on with Paul and Sheryl 6 months ago, 7 months ago.
Yeah, Voyage 50?
Yeah, Voyage 50.
Okay. You're planning to get into sailing though, that's why you've got this big focus. Yeah. Okay. So you're thinking catamaran as well, like I am?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking at lagoons and stuff. So,
yeah, they're in the same boat as us. Yeah.
In fact, one of the things my wife and I love is watching Craig and Janice do their tours and stuff like that. When we can't get to the shore.
Window shopping at this point.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what did you hope to experience on this transatlantic crossing? And just so Cheryl knew this, and I didn't know this, it's going to be about a 3,000-mile crossing, which is huge.
Yeah, mainly just the crossing itself. The experience of going across. My wife and I, well, we've done up to Mackinac from Chicago, so that's about 4 days on the water. But going 3,000 miles, like you said, that's almost 3 weeks of not seeing shore and everything. So I was never really nervous, but it's a little daunting to think about.
And you're like me, this is by far your biggest passage. Right?
Oh yeah, by 2 weeks at least, almost.
The longest. Okay, I know this is one of the questions coming up. But what is the longest nonstop sailing thing? This is on the voyage. You only did overnights or 1 day at a time.
Yeah, in the BVIs it was just day hops. I mean, probably not even full days. I mean, we're talking 4 to 6 hours on average. We've sailed the Monahal from Chicago to Mackinac, and we were going a little slow, so it was about 4.5 days.
Of nonstop sailing?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, you got me beat then.
But normally most people actually make it in about 2.5 to 3 days, so we were going real slow.
That's still impressive. 4 days nonstop sailing. That beats me. I've only ever done, I think, 12 hours in a row, so this is by far mine too. So 3 weeks is kind of like, I had a little line in the sand of what I've done, and now 3 weeks is way more than that. So we're both in the same boat. So, what worries or concerns did you have prior to doing this transatlantic crossing?
I really didn't have any concerns about being out on the water in the catamaran. I think my biggest concern was planning this trip, getting over there, and then finding out something happened to the delivery of the boat, and all of a sudden be like, oh, well, because of timing and everything like that, the trip's been canceled, and then I would have been crushed. I mean, this was basically a dream come true, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and to experience it with Paul and Sheryl, who have done this many times and are very knowledgeable, and I consider to be a good friend.
And it's a brand new boat, and Cheryl mentioned this, but if you're watching Dan's interview and you haven't seen Cheryl's, this is a brand new boat, straight out of the factory. The owner hasn't even really sailed it that much.
No, just across the Bay of Biscayne.
He wanted us to get it to St. Lucia, where he's going to get on with his wife and take it from there, but this boat was so new that we were worried that something might hold up production, or the delivery crew that bring it from England, where it was built, to Canary Islands might have an issue and it would get delayed, and then we wouldn't be able to go because we had all booked a certain slot of time off, and we weren't going to give up Christmas, right? So here we are in November. We weren't going to.
My wife wouldn't be happy if I missed Christmas.
No, and the Shard said the same thing. If it gets pushed back into Christmas, we just won't do it. So we were kind of like crossing our fingers. Please let there not be any last minute delays in the production. So, was there any concerns from your friends and family? You said you didn't have any concerns, but your friends and family, did they have concerns?
Not for my wife. My children were a little, well, especially my daughter. She's only 13. Yeah. She goes sailing quite a bit with us, but when she heard we were crossing an ocean, she thinks hurricane. She doesn't really understand seasons. Yeah. My parents think I'm crazy. They're supportive, but at the same time, they don't understand what I'm doing. So they're, I think I mentioned, if you watch Craig's live chat just before we left, he was talking about his mom and how worried she was, and that same day my mom was there crying at brunch, because she was just so worried about me. But friends, most of my friends who have given me any criticism pretty much aren't my friends. I don't need that in my life anymore, so I found new friends, or I have a lot of friends that were very supportive and stuff like that, but it came to a point where it was just...
I think a lot of my friends just didn't believe I was really going to ever do it. Like, I'd say I'm going to live on a sailboat and I'm going to do across all these oceans, and they're like, yeah, okay. And they think it's all a pipe dream, but this kind of came in a realization that I'm actually doing it. Or you probably had the same thing. Friends will always assume you're just, you got big dreams and you'll never fulfill them. So my mom was, like you just said, my mom was the only one where I told her I was going to cross the Atlantic in my boat. She'd be like, oh, okay. When you actually say you're doing it, then they get a little freaked out. So, so how did you address any concerns to your daughter or whatever? You just said you keep in touch and stuff like that?
Yeah, in fact, I went out and got the Iridium Go, which is a satellite communication system. I can send photos. They can actually track. It sends out a report every hour to a website, so they can sit online and actually see us crossing the ocean. So that helped to relieve a little bit of fear, and even my wife just told me the other day when I was talking to her out in the middle of the Atlantic, which is just cool, blows your mind, that my dad was actually enjoying watching us across the ocean and stuff like that on the computer. So we can post to Facebook now too. And stuff. The pictures are real grainy, but
At least it's something.
Yeah, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, thanks to Dan. He's been kind of our communications expert. When he bought the Iridium system, he researched how to use it and how to hook it up to Facebook and email and all that. So now we're all kind of piggybacking off his knowledge and sending photos home to our family, and that makes a big difference. Like Cheryl was saying in her thing that they've been doing this for 28 years. And back in the day, when you crossed an ocean, nobody knew. They knew when you left, and they wouldn't hear from you until you got to the other end.
Yeah,
so
it was all talking on the radio. If you're lucky, somebody in Australia.
Try and call
can you make
home.
a phone call for me?
But now people go. I think the fear back then was they wouldn't know you were in trouble until it was you've already been in trouble for a week or two.
Yeah, right.
Now they can know where you are like multiple times a day, and that's great. That's what I found.
Yeah, well, for the past 2 days, they've been floating in the same spot. Maybe we should try and get a hold of them or something.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't move, then there's a problem.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so we're about 1/3 of the way. What are your thoughts on this trip? Overall thoughts?
Oh, it's been a blast. It's I've noticed my heart rate's gone down. There's absolutely no stress. I mean, the weather's been pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
We've had a couple days where it's cold at night and stuff and cloudy, but no, it's just I'd be happy getting all the way over to St. Lucia and having somebody sit there and say, "Oh, gee, we have to take the boat back across," and I'd sit there and say, "Give me 3 days to go home and see my family," and I'd be back.
Do it all over again. Cool. Is there anything that you were expecting that hasn't happened, and anything that's happened that you weren't expecting, vice versa?
No, not really.
Everything happened exactly as you expected?
You kind of think, well, more than likely you're going to get bigger swells and stuff like that. And I'd imagine we would have had some sort of rain or even worse weather. Or it's been beautiful. I mean, I don't know if there's been a better crossing.
No. Yeah, with the wind behind us, and it hasn't been overly heavy wind, but enough wind to sail. It's been just perfect. So, highlight of the trip so far, 1/3 of the way through. Think of one or two things that you were like on your bucket list of things and they've happened.
First and second day seeing dolphins.
Yeah.
And first day they were right off our bow for a long time. And the second day we actually saw them bait balling, which is where they get together and they scoop up a bunch of small fish and then they attack the bait ball. And we saw them out there jumping and splashing around. It really is amazing.
Yeah.
And, other than that, it's just, like I said, it's been the perfect trip almost.
Yeah.
So,
great.
Yeah.
So Dan and I are going to we were roomies in Spain, where we went to Barcelona and Valencia. We're roomies here in a cabin for 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then if we get there too early, we're going to be roomies again when we get another B&B in St. Lucia, because we got flights out the same day on December 2nd.
Yes.
Yeah, so
which right now we're going to be pushing it real close. I think, so.
Because we aren't getting the super fast wind. We might get in pretty close to December 2nd. So. All right. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Dan.
Thank you.
Talk to you later. But you know who you are in case they don't know who you are.
I'm Paul Shard from Distant Shores TV, and we've been sailing for 28 or 9 years, something like that. Done many transatlantic crossings and over 100,000 miles, and been filming a TV show for most of that time.
Right. What were you hoping from this transatlantic experience?
I really wanted to get to see what the catamaran would be like. We chartered a catamaran in the Virgin Islands for a week, and then we had one last spring for 3.5 weeks, just to take people out and show them the cruising life.
Right.
And I didn't think it sailed that great, and it was banged a lot, and I wanted to see what a catamaran was really like on an ocean passage.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to get out of this.
Different model than what you were before.
Yeah.
And it was with Voyage 50 before, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And
So
this is
same size as this, but this has really been set up for offshore passaging with a couple friends visiting.
Yeah.
But really made for 2 people.
Right.
In real luxury.
Yeah. This one's an owner's version, so it's got one owner's side and then the guest side on the other side, so it's really designed for live aboard. Yeah. Okay, so what worries did you have before this transatlantic crossing? Anything that stuck out?
No, I mean, it's a new boat, so I was a little worried to make sure that it would get to be ready to leave the passage, because they really only just splashed it in the water in August.
Yeah, brand new boat.
Yeah, so that was about my only concern, was that it hadn't had sea miles, but it was flawless. It hasn't had any problems.
It's been really good,
It's great. I'm surprised it's so calm. This is like the flattest ocean crossing we've ever done. So
really?
If you're looking for the big waves, like you keep saying, like, here's a big wave coming. It's like, okay,
for me, it's like, look at the size of this roller coming at us.
No, they're not yet. No, they're not here yet. They will. We probably will.
At some point.
I assume we will. Our long-range forecast doesn't show that much.
No, it's been pretty calm. I mean, enough to sail, but not.
Oh yeah, we're sailing, but it's only because this boat is really good in eking out every bit of the wind. That these 2 jib rig is working really well. So.
We have a Jeanneau on one side, a jib on the other, and we've got them both out wing on wing, so we're getting the maximum out of the little wind that we do get, going straight downwind. So highlights, if you could think of one thing, 1/3 of the way through the passage.
Well, it's been great to have everybody on board here.
What's your highlight?
I enjoyed that. I like this kind of watch system because most of the miles we've done, almost all the miles we've done, is just the two of us, which means like 3 hours on, 3 off, 3 on, 3 off. So you get really tired. And this is more like the party because we do 4 on and 8 hours off. So you have lots of sleep and then we've got 3 amazing chefs on board. And 3 people who are also really good at eating. So together it's all perfect.
That's great. Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Paul. It's been great sailing with you, and I really appreciate you and Cheryl inviting me along for this passage.
It's been good to have you on board,
awesome.
Craig. So.
Experience of a lifetime. Okay, everybody from my channel knew Dan from our time in Spain together, but you haven't really properly been introduced to Dan and Alex. So,
Dave.
Sorry, Dave. Dan and Ed have been traveling together, but you haven't been formally introduced to Dave and Alex. So can you tell everybody where you're from, and we'll go from there.
I started sailing when I first met Dave 6 years ago. And Dave, your sailing experience?
6 years ago?
This is terrible.
Start over. We're gonna have the giggles after this.
Take 3.
Okay, take 3.
Take 3.
Okay, for all of you watching the channel so far, you've met Dan and Paul and Sheryl. You probably already know, but for now, you're going to get a chance to meet Dave and Alex. So tell us where you're from.
We're from Nova Scotia, Canada.
Both of you are from there?
I was born and raised in Halifax.
Okay.
And you were born in Germany.
I was actually born in Germany. I lived for a long time in Quebec.
Okay.
And then moved to Nova Scotia, and that's where I met Dave.
Yes.
2008.
2008.
And Dave, just a point of interest, you guys both met being part of the Navy, so you're in the Navy.
Yes, and I worked for D&D where I met Dave.
Yeah, I had a career in the Navy for 33 years, and that's where I met her in the headquarters there in 2008.
2008,
Yeah, and you're now retired?
Yeah.
All right, and we'll get to your sailing, but just to jump ahead a bit, because you're retired, you have a lot more time for sailing?
Yes.
Right, and we're going to get into your sailing experience. What kind of sailboat do you have right now?
We have a 40-foot Jeannot Sun Odyssey.
Okay, cool. And where do you keep that, or where do you sail that generally?
Well, at the moment it's stored in Florida while we do this adventure here, and then we're going to relaunch and cruise the Bahamas this season like we did last season. But prior to that, we left Halifax in 2012, sailed all the way down from Halifax to Grenada, and cruised Grenada and the Windward Leeward Islands for like 4 years.
4 years,
before we came back up.
And most of those 4 years you were living
We were living
on the boat
full-time.
full time.
Yep.
You don't have a house back home or anything?
No.
That's awesome. That's what we want to do. So that's why I wanted to get that point out there.
Wonderful adventure.
Yeah, a lot of people are snowbirds. They go to their boat for a certain season, they go home, but you guys are living the life.
We sure are.
So this one you have now, this Jeannot, is the first sort of true cruising boat. All the other ones were more racing boats. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, Ilahi too was more of a cruising boat too, in a way. Small scale, great for weekend trips or a week or two around Nova Scotia. And that we sailed her all the way up.
We sailed her to Cape Breton.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we did. 3 weeks.
So you were sailing with that boat. Okay.
Yeah.
And how long have you been sailing out?
Oh my goodness, I've only been sailing since I met Dave. So I learned how to sail in 2009, really. When I first met him, he said, we both wanted to adventure.
Right.
And I wasn't sure how. I just knew I wanted to adventure. And he said, I do as well. And I have a boat. And I'm like, what's a boat?
That's really what's
Basically, yeah.
No.
That's what you think.
I got some work here.
You got some work.
Yeah.
So I took, he taught me a lot. I took some courses, and here we are.
That's great. That's great. All right. What do you want to get experience on this transatlantic? Now, this is, I'm assuming, this is by far your biggest
Yes,
non-stop sailing
absolutely.
thing.
Prior to this, my longest passage was 3 days and 2 nights.
3 days and 2 nights
3
non-stop.
days nonstop. Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, what I wanted to experience is being out here for, 15, 20 days, going across an ocean, which to me feels huge, absolutely huge.
Yeah.
So far so good. We're day number 6.
Yeah, we're on day number 6.
Day number 6.
About a third of the way through.
Yeah.
And Dave, you've done longer passages, like than the 2 or 3 days?
No, on sailing, we've done that together.
Right.
On Banyan, but my career in the Navy had me do a lot of long-term deployments, 38 days at sea or whatever. A whole different program on a big heavy destroyer. With air conditioning and lots of good food and stuff. But anyhow, and it's funny you mention that because I always, whenever we're hit, because warships, we drive through a lot of bad weather,
Right.
go around things usually, but I remember myself sitting up the bridge and saying, boy, I sure wouldn't like to be caught out here in a sailboat, and here we are.
Here we are, taking chances.
Taking our chances,
Yeah.
but we got a great team here with Paul and Sheryl leading the charge
sure.
here,
Yeah.
and that's my experience here, is just to get that experience of doing a long passage,
Honestly.
right from the heavy duty provisioning right to the routing, the weather, the daily weather planning, and planning a route. And we really have a challenge here to plan a route because, as you know, right now we're lighter conditions, and we want to get our way all the way over to the Caribbean.
Yeah, we've been
without motoring too much.
deviating to try and catch whatever wind we can, right?
Right,
You know,
right.
Chasing the wind.
Yeah.
Chasing the wind around.
What worries or concerns did you have? Well, let's go with you, Alex, first. What worries did you have about the transatlantic? Anything that made you fearful?
Weather, mostly. I'm afraid, it sounds really funny to say because it's weather, Oh my God, what if this happens and what if that happens? And really, it's, sailing one day or sailing 20 days, I'm kind of realizing that you just take it as it comes. It's, so...
Now, we've been lucky. We've had some really good
We've
weather.
had some good weather,
but
right.
I know what you're
I'm not
saying.
going to say any more than that.
Yeah. Anything that concerned you before, or anything that worried you a bit?
Mostly how she'd feel about the whole thing and if she'd even commit. So I was really happy and surprised that she signed up almost immediately. That,
Oh, yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
you got to do it. You got.
Yeah. Oh, when the offer came in, it was like, hell yes, I want to do this. And then I thought about it and said, oh, the reality is
3
we're going to be
weeks.
3 weeks on an ocean.
Yeah.
And I still wanted to do it.
Yeah. That's
So,
great. It's a good sign, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
And we've had a good experience, so it's not
Yes.
traumatizing you in any way so far.
Yeah.
Great. Did your family or friends have any concerns when they heard you were going to do a transatlantic?
Many of them, some of them were like, oh my God, you're doing what? Others were very supportive. So we haven't really had any negative experiences
No, I don't think so.
or comments, I should say, not experiences.
Well,
but-
we've been doing it for 5 years on our own boat, so they said, okay, wow, that's an adventure, but okay, you've been
Yeah, you've been
sailing.
living it.
We've been living
Yeah.
it.
You can handle
Yeah, a
it.
few of the comments were, so glad it's you and not me. Yeah.
And mention that you're saying comments. You guys have a blog, right?
Yes, we do. You can find us. We're Sailing Banyan on Facebook or on Sail Blogs, and we usually blog about our daily adventures.
Yeah, living on a boat. It's
Yes.
great. So when you told your I call them viewers, but your readers, then they have a chance to give you their feedback, and so it
Yes.
was all positive mostly.
It was all positive. Everyone was like, "Go for it."
Yeah,
have
you guys are ready
fun,"
for it.
Yeah. It was absolutely all positive.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Great.
Which is wonderful. Thank you to our readers.
Yeah, that's awesome. 1/3 of the way through, 6 days in, what are your overall thoughts? What were your expectations, and did they meet them, exceed them? That sort of
I
thing?
think my expectations have been exceeded so far.
Yeah.
From day one when we landed on the boat, we went provisioning, which went a lot smoother than I expected it to.
A lot of work though, right?
Oh
A
my
lot of
God,
work.
a lot of work. I mean, Cheryl and I walked for 3 days nonstop.
That surprised me.
Yeah, the boat is wonderful. We saw the video before we came here on the boat, and she's even more beautiful and bigger than I expected. The cruise, we're all getting along wonderfully. So for me, it's been absolutely much better than I anticipated. How about you?
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. Paul and Sheryl have done an excellent job planning this voyage and working with the owner to deliver this beautiful boat to St. Lucia for him. And you guys, the crew, has been outstanding.
Yeah,
And,
we all really
awesome.
gung ho to do this.
All kind of clicked, or we all can joke around a bit and take a joke, and it's been very, very enjoyable.
That's
And,
great.
Yes, it has. Yeah,
Perfect.
absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you separately. It might be the same answer. We'll see. Try not to listen to her answer. Try and come up with a different one. What's your one highlight of the trip so far? 1/3 of the way through. One thing that happened that was your highlight.
My highlight of the trip. You know something? Everything.
Really?
Yeah,
Everything?
everything
Okay.
so
That's
far.
going to make it easy on you then.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything. Yeah.
highlight of the trip.
One thing that you can remember that's happened so far that you were like, that was up there. That was
Probably the
bucket
first day out when I'm laying in my aft cabin. We have these 2 big windows in the hull. You can lay out there and just look out at the ocean while you're sailing along. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Something we can't do in our own boat.
No,
But
that is
just
true.
laying in your bunk and looking out at the stars at night and right from your bed.
Yeah, we're all monohaulers. Even Paul
Yeah.
and Cheryl, we're all monohaulers. We don't have these big I call them bay windows,
windows
in your
in the
bedroom
hall.
that you can literally, you're like a foot above the water, it looks like.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
Yeah.
You wake up to that. Yeah.
They call catamarans a condominium on the water, and I can definitely see why. I mean, you know, the space we have is
pretty
unreal.
luxurious.
Oh, it's very luxurious.
It's definitely what Janice and I want to do.
Yeah.
We want to do that, and we've chartered. And you guys, have you chartered a cat before?
I have not, no.
Nope, never.
No, right? So
cat.
is this your first time sailing on a cat?
Yeah.
Yeah, first time. I think we did a day sail on a
We did
friend's
it
there
on a friend's
around
boat.
Martinique.
Yes, we
we
did.
have many friends that have cats that we met down in Grenada and did a lot of happy hours or
Yes.
sundowners on
Yeah.
cats, but this really is our first cat experience.
So going back to the expectation, is this more comfortable than you thought it would be, or about the same, or?
More comfortable.
Yeah, I think so.
More comfortable than I thought it would. I was kind of not worried, but apprehensive about the motion. You know, people say it's kind of hobby horse, and of course we've had beautiful weather, so we can't even comment on that. But no, she is. I can't believe we're sitting here with tea, and it's not not going anywhere.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. And we haven't had super heavy winds,
Yeah.
and we've been moving along
it's
at
been-
6+ knots,
Yeah.
even in light winds, so it sails really well.
It
Yeah, it
does.
does.
Yeah,
It's a very beautiful
comfortable.
boat.
Yeah, luxurious.
Anything else? Last comments you want to add? Anything I missed?
No,
Okay.
that's pretty much it.
It's good. We're glad we got to meet you. And follow Banyan. Banyan, what's the full name of it?
Banyan.
www.
It's under Sail Blogs and
Sailing Banyan.
Sailing
Sailing
Banyan.
Banyan on Facebook.
Okay, great.
Excellent.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
All right,
You're
thanks,
welcome.
Greg.
Well, that's the end of this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed meeting the other 5 crew as much as I enjoyed crossing an ocean with them. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. It helps the channel a lot because it tells YouTube to suggest it to more people. There's plenty of sailing goodness in the episodes to come, so hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any episodes. Also, you can hit the notification button, which will send you an email when the next episode is available. What you'll see in the future episodes is that this is a downwind passage, but it had a lack of wind. So first we tried a wing on wing, then we tried to break out the spinnaker. Anything to get a little bit of speed going. It may not have been a windy passage, but it sure was a pretty one. A special thanks to the patrons that support the channel. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. Anyways, there's lots to look forward to. I hope to see you in the next one. And until next time, this is Craig signing off, wishing you safe cruising.